All right, good morning, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. I appreciate everybody being here. Welcome some new faces, Judge Forbes specifically. Thank you for filling in. Let's see. So the first thing is need the old minutes from. We did have a meeting on August 2nd, which I thought was very productive. I appreciate everybody's involvement in that. Just need approval of those minutes. Anybody make a motion?
I'll make
All
a
right,
motion.
Stephanie. Second?
Second.
All right, those are approved. We'll move forward to any old business. Anybody have anything for the good of the group, old business wise? I don't have any specifically. Anybody out there? Margaret? No. Okay. We'll move on to new business. So to give the current status of the Clay County Detention Facility, I'll turn it over to Chief Arnold.
Good morning, everyone. The third quarter average daily population for the Clay County Jail was 457. That's 93% of our max capacity. As of today, we're at 414 inmates, 84% of our max capacity. That's 336 males and 79 females. 89% of our population is in jail for felonies, 11% for misdemeanors. Currently, we're holding 102 sentenced to Clay County Jail and 33 sentenced to the Department of Corrections.
Appreciate that. One more thing for you. Can you just kind of fill the group in of where we're at with new construction within the jail? Kind of give them a pulse check on that.
We've hit some speed bumps with the expansion of the Clay County Jail with contractors and architects. We're working through those problems, hopefully to get back on track. I think the most recent potential completion date we're looking at is next December.
Thank you. Yeah, we're kind of, the population has been a little bit lower, but we're still at 93%. We're starting to, luckily we've been a little lower to where we're not truly bursting at the seams and having to send people off anywhere or do anything like that, or ankle monitors or whatever that looks like to us, right? So that's kind of the purpose. I know some other facilities do that. They'll put, low risk female inmates, for example, Jacksonville. I've talked to them and they'll put them on ankle monitors to help with population. So luckily we're not there yet, right? So hopefully that construction will be a Band-Aid on some of the future build for the Clay County Jail. Anybody have any questions on that? The state of the jail or any of the construction going on?
Sort of related to that, in the past there had been some discussion about a matrix type setup in the jail for drug treatment, and I don't know where it is now. If that's been abandoned, or is that something we can talk about doing? I know space is limited,
Right.
which is why we're having to expand, but we're looking for some alternatives for high risk folks who it'd be nice if we had something local.
Yes, sir.
Where are we with that, or is that something that's just not possible due to the confines of the space?
Really, the space is what's hurting us, I think, there more than anything. It's not the want or the initiative to do it. I think that's something that we've kind of been discussing as well with the group. And, if you guys have anything, if you want to get up and speak on that, you can. Now's appropriate.
And even if the space at the jail is limited, can we at least start a discussion about doing it somewhere else?
So, right now, I just applied for a grant through the FDLE, and part of that grant is that we have to have separate dorms for the program, for a substance use program, for males and females, and I am currently working with Chief Arnold to be able to create that, providing that we get that grant.
So what would that look like if
So
it all comes together?
what it will look like, sir, is it'll be a MAT program, and I have my vision is.
You gotta pull the mic. They're asking to pull the mic down.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
My vision is to create those 2 dorms, and we will have special programming. Inmates will be required to take Thinking for a Change in Substance Abuse, and they will also be required to take other classes as well, such as like active parenting, anger management. I'm working with Clay Behavioral right now to have a peer support specialist be there in the jail 4 days a week for 5 hours each day, and working on getting a counselor for, a substance abuse counselor to hold group counseling. But with all that being said, we have been granted a grant for a Vivitrol program, which I am really excited about. That will include the shot. It'll also include someone to come and administer the shot, a substance abuse counselor, and a peer support specialist, and also special classes as well.
So what's the time frame to knowing whether the grant will be?
So
Bill, and-
the FDLE grant is not due until November 22nd. I've passed all my information over to our grant writers at the sheriff's office. And I'm just really kind of waiting for the money to be in my hand for the Vivitrol program. I was
And,
told a couple months there.
yeah, no, I understand. But, and if it comes through, how many inmates can participate in this program with the peer specialist, the extra counseling, all these?
Right, so with the
Some numbers.
Vivitrol program, I want to at least include like 15 males, 15 females as a starting point, but keep rolling them in as they identify. Once I get that money, I want to have a meeting with you and the other judges, and also the people that, the public defenders and the state attorneys, to include that as part of the sentencing. If they're being sentenced to the county jail for like 9 months, to have that included, that they have to go through this program.
Right, does everybody know what Vivitrol is? Maybe you could, I mean, I do, but if you want to share so everybody's on the same page about
Okay,
what that
I
means.
apologize. So the Vivitrol, it's a shot that's provided every 30 days for about 6 months. And what the shot does is it blocks the receptors in the brain from the cravings of alcohol and opioids.
And we know it works.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It has a very high success rate.
Yeah, exciting times for us because most of our population, unfortunately, are coming in with some type of opioid or substance abuse, alcohol abuse and stuff like that. So we're really excited to make somebody better, right? And then give them that help they need before being released or whatever that looks like. So not only just sober them up the old-fashioned way, but we sober them up the right way and get them thinking a little bit different and for their future and moving forward back into the community. So we'll keep everybody apprised of how that's moving along, and these programs cost money. So Hattie's been really good working with the grant providers to get that one grant, but we're working on some other things with Clay Behavioral Fire Rescue as well on the MAP program. And we've had several meetings on that, and that's definitely heading in the right direction as well. So I think for the first time ever, we're providing some in jail care for these inmates who need it on that end, for sure.
And this would be available to sentenced inmates only?
With the Vivitrol program, yes, because of the shots.
Right.
I want to give them a really good start, at least having at least 5 shots before they are left, and then a warm handoff into Clay Behavioral.
That's what I was going to ask. So there would be something with Clay Behavioral, say they're sentenced to the county jail to participate in that program, their probation could extend past their jail sentence to then pick up an aftercare type program with Clay Behavioral, but you already answered the question. So, and does the grant entail the aftercare program too, or is that something separate that would be out of pocket to the sentenced individual?
Okay, no. I've been working with Clay Behavioral, and they have grants that will provide the aftercare.
Perfect. You guys are ahead of it, so I'm just curious.
And as part of that, getting that shot, well, they'd have to volunteer for that. We can't
I understand.
put them on that.
sir.
But that would also include this other type of counseling. They would have to participate in that as well. I mean,
Yes,
it's not, you don't get
absolutely.
you don't get just the shot, but you
Right.
can skip out on the meetings. You've got to do everything.
Correct. Everything.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, and I think if you have it spelled out, but I think for the group, if we can get that on paper, what it looks like, to where we can share that amongst the the board and let everybody look at it and see what it's doing, because that way it's visible to everyone, and they see the good work that you're going to be doing in there.
If they're gonna have to be in the jail, it would be good for them to be getting some help like that.
I agree 100%, and this, you know,
Productive time.
I've been working really hard trying to get these programs in there, and it's always about money.
Sure it is. Now, this grant, if it gets fulfilled, is it something that's recurring, or we have to apply for it every year?
I'll have to apply for it every year.
Okay. Well, once we get it, let's maybe get a meeting together with PD, state, and the judges, so everybody's on the same page. They all could be aware of that, and we could, you know, get people involved. Get
I do
people
have a
into it.
question. So you said 5 shots?
Yes.
So what does that time frame look like? How often do they get them? Is it
Once every 30 days.
every 30 days? Okay.
Would this be something they were screened into prior to sentencing, that we would make part of a plea if they agreed to it? Or is this something that you're targeting people after they've been sentenced?
So after they've been sentenced, they would be assessed by Clay Behavioral to make sure that they, you know, qualify for Vivitrol. But even if they don't qualify for Vivitrol, I think it's really important for them to get this other services, the counseling, the group counseling, the peer support.
So prior to sentencing, I think we would just need to be aware that they do qualify, so that we can sentence them to enough time that they can do it, even if it's not part of their sentence. Wouldn't you agree, Mark?
Yeah, I do agree. I did have a question about the administration of the Vivitrol. If it begins in jail, and it's 5 doses, I guess would be the
Yes, sir. So
correct term.
this is how I envision it. Once a month, someone from Clay Behavioral will be coming to the jail, and they will administer, everyone will get the shot the same day. And Clay Behavioral will come in and administer that.
And the purpose for giving them Vivitrol is to reduce cravings.
Yes, yes, sir.
Presumably, they wouldn't have access to the opiates while in jail. Would it be more beneficial to have this available to them when they're out of custody?
Well, here's the problem with that. We do have the Vivitrol program in the jail, and I've had people sign up, and Ms. True can attest to this. They go to Clay Behavioral, they get their first shot, they get an appointment to come back for their second shot and for their group counseling, and then they never show up again. So I think if we at least get them that start and get them into that habit of having the shots, go into group counseling, it'll give them a better shot on the outside of being successful.
That makes sense.
Because now, if I can.
You may have to get to the microphone, it's true.
Now, if people are
You just pull it to you, it'll move. There you go.
if, now if they're interested, the jail, we have to do blood work, which would be an exclusionary possibility for some people, although out of all the Vivitrol assessments I've done, I've never seen anybody's blood work, unless they have really bad liver problems, might exclude them from getting the injection, but even people with Hep C normally can get it. So there is some exclusion, and there is an education in the screening process and lab work done before they get the injection. But even now, we get them, to answer your question, from the jail, and actually the jail staff has agreed and like transports them out of the jail up to our office in Middleburg, and we do all the do all of our things and give them the injection, normally within about 3 weeks of their departure from the jail, from their graduation from incarceration. And they leave us with an appointment to go back for their next injection, and that has not been very successful. So the literature talks about 3 to 6 injections would be average for people, so having minimally 3 in their system, because it changes the way they think, and they have more ability to really benefit from not just the programs that we provide, but all the programs that Addie provides inside of the jail. So if we can get 3 to 5, we should have a much, even if they didn't come to us, they would still have a much better possibility of being successful when they're back in their community.
Okay.
And we do, and they can continue treatment with us, and, we are not-for-profit, our population is the uninsured or underinsured, so we can bring them right in. And we have actually a whole aftercare program that costs them $2 a visit,
Okay, that makes
which we never charge for.
Excuse the pun, but while they're captive,
Right.
acclimate them to the process.
Yeah, because it really makes them feel better. It's not just like, it stops the withdrawal symptoms and it helps with craving. Because even when you can be in jail for months and still crave your opiates or alcohol. And it's very specific to opiates and alcohol. There is some research for methamphetamines. So people that are duly diagnosed and have opiate and meth use also will really benefit really well from this. But it really changes the way they feel, the way their brain is operating and the way they feel. So they feel so much better and they're getting the education that they need. So that's what I think is going to set them up for success. And the vocational training and the parenting training and the anger management training, all of that stuff sets them up for being able to hear that stuff plus the success when they get out, because they are clear and they are not just still crave. You can crave, for a year after you stop using, so it's very unpleasant sometimes. And we want that to stop before they get back in their home, because out here is where the problems are. So.
Well, that's great. I mean, one day I'd like to get a Matrix-like facility inside the jail.
This is like
but-
Matrix.
Huh?
This will be like Matrix Light.
Well, that's what.
Matrix-ish.
You sort of stole my thunder. That's where I was going with it. Take what we can get, and I think that's
Yeah, I think it's
a positive development.
Excellent start.
Yeah.
Patty's worked really hard to even get us this far, because we're in the jail once a week now, and we do substance use education and wellness recovery action planning training for that in the jail. And so we're already Matrix-ish light, a little bit light. So the more we can add to that, the better off everyone will be,
Absolutely.
including the officers on the street. It would be easier for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, we appreciate both y'all and what you're doing, and the working together, the teamwork that I've seen with both y'all and your groups has been really good, and something we've been looking forward to for some time, and hopefully we'll have a full matrix in the future. That's going to be our goal. So thank y'all.
You're welcome. For those of you who don't know Vivitrol, I'm sorry, I kind of left this out, but it's a non-narcotic, so there's no withdrawing from it. And I think that's really important. Can I just add 2 things?
Yes, because you're next anyways.
Okay.
While you're up there, I'm just going to keep you up there for a
Okay,
minute.
all right. I just want to tell everyone that on November 7th, we're having a job fair for the inmates. So far, I have 8 places that are going to be coming into the jail. I'm going to be doing some phone calls on Monday. Monday's a cutoff for them to let me know whether they're going to be in there or not. And the other thing that I'm really happy to say is we have 6 people that are ready to take their GED test.
Awesome. Congrats. Great.
Thank you.
That is good
That's
stuff.
all I have.
Stay there though, because does anybody have any question on any of that? I think it's, Patty, me coming over to the jail, 2.5 years or so ago, not knowing how the jail operates and all that, to see that we're having job fairs in the jail for our inmates, and we talk about these inmates being our community members, and that's the way the leadership team looks at it. We truly do. We pass it on to our staff, although sometimes things may not look the way we want them to, right? So, but with that being said, to have job fairs, GED, the programs, the relationships, to get them, we know what, and you guys, obviously the state and the defense and the judges and everybody knows that, drugs or alcohol abuse are a major factor into crime itself. This is good stuff, and I'm proud to be part of that, and keep up the good work on that end. It means a lot to me, and I know it means everything to you. So thank you, Patty, for running that.
You're welcome, sir, but I'm also grateful for you guys being supportive of me.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
I do appreciate that.
We're here and we do support it, and everybody knows that, and that's important as well. While you're up there, will you talk about, I know we talk about reentry, and I know that's another thing kind of down the road we're working on, and it's things that we're reaching for, and there's some things that have to happen before we have a true full reentry program. And what that looks like to us is they're getting out of jail, and Operation New Hope with partnerships with Vineyard, transitional housing, and all that. Do you have any updates on? And I know John's not here in that group, but on where they might be at the build to. I think they plan on building a place back here to house, I think, 16 people when they get released, and then they're gonna work, of course, with them for job applications, stuff like that. Is there any update on that part of it?
I'm sorry, sir, I think Chief Arnold would know much more than
Okay,
I.
before we go to Chief Arnold, so you can sit down after this, I think, we are, what's our average in the New Hope program that they're currently doing within the jail? Do
So-
you know that number?
More males than females. I haven't really had great success,
Mhm.
especially with the females. I hate to say this in public, but I had to bribe them to stay in the class. You know, it's like it's too early, or I don't need this stuff, you know. I just bribed them with an extra art class, nothing bad.
Right. Thank you for clarifying that. I kind of like my job.
But what I have done now is, we used to teach life skills class in the jail, and I brought that back in, because I think it'll work great with these programs as well. To just get them to be able to write a resume to answer, you know, what have you been doing for the last year? You know, and they haven't had a job and they've been incarcerated. So I am working toward that, and I think having the job fair and getting more connections for myself and more resources to say, hey, you know, inmate Jones, you don't have a job, I have a job week for you, are you interested? So, and I've always done that. If an inmate reaches out to me and says, you know, Patty, I need a job, I try to connect them. I had an inmate that was just released about 3 weeks ago who reached out to me last week and said, hey, can you help me get a job? And I just gave him like 4 leads for him to,
Good.
you know, be able to go and apply, you know, because the people that are coming to the job fair are people that will already hire felons. And
Right.
again, it
Right.
depends on what the felony is, but, so I try to work for that as much as I can.
Awesome, thank you. Appreciate it. Chief, on the vineyard transitional schools.
The biggest challenge Vineyard's facing right now is getting the securing funding to start construction. They're ready to go. The plans are, I'm pretty sure, all the way through the approval process to start the build. They're running some fundraisers. If you've heard, they're selling pork butts coming up here soon. And some other fundraisers through the end of this year, the beginning of next year, to try to get the funding up to at least start phase 1 construction.
Cool, thank you. That's gonna be exciting. Thank you, Patty. I appreciate all you do, and I don't tell you that enough. All right, next thing on the agenda. Does anybody have anything on reentry or programs? Okay. Next thing is Clay County Detention Facility Mental Health. Miss Nora and Miss Margaret are here. Do y'all want to share? And if you have to come to the podium to talk so we can hear you, but just kind of give a roundabout, you know, kind of where we're at. We see an increase in mental health, inmates with mental health, and what that percentage may look like for our overall population. And Nora, if you don't mind introducing yourself to the group. Nora, I will kind of walk her into that. She's new with us at Clay County Sheriff's Office, brings a ton of experience. She's our licensed mental health counselor specifically for the jail. So some things that are important to us, drug treatment, mental health, we're doing everything we can, I can assure you, on our end to make sure we have those people in place and true professionals doing the job. So go ahead, Nora, take it.
Hi. So I was not expecting this today. A little awkward. I might be a little nervous. And I am fairly new here, not only to Clay County, but to Florida. So I am one of those northerners that keep invading your space down here, but thank you for that. So I'm really compassionate about and passionate about working with the inmates and especially their mental health. All the issues come up, largely substance use disorder is definitely at the top of the list. I would probably guess, I don't have the exact numbers, but probably 70% of the patients I work with are struggling with addiction and dependency disorders. Another big thing that I have ran the numbers, because it was really standing out to me, and what I find myself really searching for is reentry, resources. Most, let's see, I saw, I had 159 inmates scheduled during the month of October. Now, 22 did refuse and 3 were released. Minus that, 12 struggled with
100% homelessness and zero support systems, meaning that when I ask them, who are you going to reach out to? Who's going to pick you up? No one. So, and that's really hard. You know, I hear every day, I don't have a phone, I don't have a house, I don't have a job, I don't have a driver's license. How do you earn money? And those are the people, they're gonna come right back in. So that's really hard. So that's kind of like my first full month here of just what I've been really kind of honing in on. And I know there's a lot of other things set up. One of my focuses is I'm big on psychoeducation with the inmates and the neuroscience of addiction, and they've really been responding to that positively. You know, me showing them what is actually happening to your brain from the drug abuse. So, any questions for me?
I don't specifically know. Go ahead, Mark, do you have something?
Not particularly, but in general, you know, how many inmates do you see a day?
It is hard to say because it could get really, it could get really wild in there. Well, for starters, I saw during the month of October about 10 mental health provision evaluations where that was where someone was like threatening self-harm or to, you know, harming someone else. So I might see about 10 a month for that, and then follow-ups until they get released. And then the largest amount is what I'm seeing is about 48 mental health follow-ups, 22 mental health initial evaluations. And so my process is that if you have been in and within the year you've seen another mental health counselor, I'll just do a follow-up. But if it's your first time to the Clay County Jail or you haven't been there in over a year, I start with just basically initial evaluation. So I'm seeing them for all different reasons, but I try to schedule, I mean, I'll put to, you know, my faithful hand Sherman, Deputy Sherman, about maybe 15 to 16 patients a day. I'm already guessing that as many as 5 might refuse. There might be someone that got released or is in court, but I'll easily see 10 patients a day as, you know, sometimes I'm going up to confinement. I prefer to have them come into my space so that I can really give them that accurate evaluation and talk with them and, you know, kind of get them out of fight, flight, and, you know, build rapport with them and get them to trust me because I do have their back.
You have adequate time and space to be able to do that?
Well, it's been challenging because we share the space a lot. I mean, just to be really transparent, because I have to be, that is my biggest challenge, not having space, because I share Deputy Sherman with the dentist, the psychiatrist, the medical doctor, the court-appointed psychologist, and so we only have one little space. But, you know, I do my best. I work around it. I'm willing to come in or stay, you know, on a weekend or stay late. That is one great thing. We have a great team. Yeah, we really do.
I think in general, we all have a much greater appreciation for the need for just mental health itself as it's offered to inmates, but also substance abuse, much more now than we did years ago when
Yeah.
the jail was built and when it was remodeled.
100%. And I try to be very forward thinking and in my professional opinion, the way of the future for substance use disorder is the neuroscience of it. And I'm all for programs like Vivitrol, but it does have, I'm just going to say, like an over 50% relapse rate. And I'm not trying to, you know, diminish that because it is great. It works really well when it has to be paired with regular counseling. But for the people I'm working with that don't have a support system, they don't have a car, you know, they're going out. It's not going to work for them. And I would stake my license right on that. They're going to go right back because they're lost, you know, and they want the help. They don't know how. They don't know how to even find it. And they've done a lot of brain damage from the drugs. itself. So they're not like thinking as clear as people, like I assume all of us, that have not damaged our brains from drugs. So, you know, it's a job with a lot of different teams all doing their part, but it's a complicated one.
There it is.
Yeah, thank you, Nora. And you hit on the points of what recidivism is, right? It's the homelessness, the substance abuse, and you know, no support, no job, and things like that. So, you know, that's where obviously everything Patty's trying to get them to do. And the hard part, I think, for all of us is, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, is the volunteerness of it, right? So we have some things coming up in the future within the jail to go into a tablet system to where every inmate is going to have a tablet. I think that's going to help us reach out a little more and communicate and force them to, hey, this is what we have for you. They have to read that or watch a video or whatever that is prior to getting in and doing what they're going to do on that tablet. So I think that's going to help us, and I think we'll see more volunteer, volunteer inmates for some of these programs and things that we're trying to get off the ground. Talking to other jail facilities, they have seen a better turnout on that too. Because that's been my challenge, is like, I want to go in the dorms and go, hey, come on, you know, but they got to want to do it, you know. So we're looking at ways to encourage them as well. But thank you for everything you do for us. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any questions on anything Nora said? Any mental health? It's a real thing, and you're exactly right, Mark. It's more than ever within our community. We see it from the law enforcement and obviously the jail side, because we see them more in a captive audience. And out there, those men and women dealing with mental illness, used to, it was very few. When I was out there, every now and again, and I'd be able to identify it a lot easier. Now, it's hard to do, because now it's drug-induced psychosis or whatever that might look like. They take something they shouldn't, and now they're out of their mind, and we're dealing with them. So it's very important. I appreciate it. Thank you. Last order of business for today is I've added to the agenda, and we briefly talked about it before, but reorganization of the Public Safety Coordinating Council. I've been fortunate enough to be the chair basically since the conception of it. Commissioner Bola was the chair, nominated me. I think Chief Arnold nominated me, and I can tell you this: I've really enjoyed doing this. And although we don't fill the room, I think the meetings that we have had have been very productive. We have to have these in person, statutorily. We've tried to make it a little bit more convenient to do it on Teams, and that hasn't worked. But so anyways, with that being said, I think with me as the chair, and I'll just say it, you know, as the director of the jail, to get some things accomplished that we need to get accomplished, it probably is almost a conflict for me to be the chair. And if this council is going to support future things within the jail, potentially a new jail facility, I thought it's appropriate that I'm not the chair. Obviously, I'll be actively involved in it, but you know, I think that's kind of where we stand, and I would say that probably most agree with that stance. So with that being said, I'll take a nomination for a new chair for the Public Safety Coordinating Council. Anyone want to nominate anyone?
Nominate Mark Wright.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. We'd have to take a vote on that, Christine, right?
And you
So
say
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Well, Mark, congratulations. Mark Wright will be the new chair of the Public Safety Coordinating Council, and you know, getting to know you through this too. He's been the co-chair, and you know, Mark's extremely smart. I think it's a great choice. He's a lot smarter than I am, and we will provide, I can tell you this from the jail standpoint, in our interactions prior and moving forward, that we'll be there to support you in whatever you choose to do on the council. So appreciate you. Thank you. Anything for the group before we close out?
No speech, no.
Judge.
We're all in this together. I hate to sound so cliche, but I mean, it's true. We all mutually benefit from, you know, lessening the burden on corrections. And the best way to do that is to identify people who need to be corrected versus punished. And I think it sounds a lot easier than it actually is, because you get a lot of people out there that they really need both. But if there's a way that we can identify those individuals that are willing, you know, and that's hard to do. Sometimes you gotta provide incentive, maybe not a bribe, but incentive to volunteer. I know that sounds contradictory, but that's a lot of times that's what it takes, you know. If they know they've got game time to lose, they may behave, you know. And then sometimes once they get involved in the treatment, not all, but I don't even know if most, but some might sort of reach that moment where like, hey, I think I get it now. And, but in order to have those programs available, you need space, you need money. I'm not sure where all that comes from. You know, it seems like the Department of Corrections would have some incentive to provide, you know, money and help in that regard, because if that happens, we are lessening their burden. You know, I mean, it's just
Good point.
it's synergy.
Yeah,
It's really
absolutely.
what it is.
Yeah. Well, thank you. All right, well, Judge, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, we learned today that committee can have both a circuit and a county judge.
Yes.
And if that's the case, if Judge Forbes is willing, maybe, or if it requires a vote, that we can have us both on the committee?
Yes, I
Are we
mean,
good with that?
I don't think we need a vote for that, so, because it's in the statute. So, welcome to the team, Judge Forbes. We're honored to have you here, sir.
I'm glad to be here, and those that don't know my background, I have all criminal defense experience, both as evenly as a prosecutor, as a defense attorney, so I know not near as much what Mr. Wright does, but I've been in the jails all over, so I'm glad to join, and will help out any way I can.
Definitely be an asset for sure. Thank you. Thanks for that, Judge.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you bringing that up.
Both of us are probably here every time, but
Yeah.
it makes it easier for at least one of us to be here.
Right, absolutely. And really quick, I got one thing before we adjourn. Commissioner Sella, this is his last meeting with us, and we're blessed with his presence, and I've been blessed to call him a friend, and obviously he's been very supportive of a ton of things in this community. I know this isn't a BCC meeting, but he has been really, really awesome to work with and around for the last several years that I've got to know you, so I appreciate that relationship, friendship.
Appreciate it, yeah. I was comforted by knowing that I couldn't be nominated for anything. But if I could take a moment, sitting here and hearing all the efforts that go on, really, below the radar. A lot of folks don't understand what happens in the jail and the treatment that's necessary. And I think, Mark, you brought up a point which, when Nora was talking, I just made some notes, and she said, you got individuals who you're letting out of jail with, no phone, no car, no job, no money, nobody to pick them up. I mean, it doesn't take long when you put yourself in that position that it's no wonder that they don't want to do anything, because it's almost as if they're a non-person, right? That even themselves feel like they're just not a person. And so that's why I think what you do with this committee is really important. I made some notes, and I'll bring these up at the next board meeting as a report on what public safety council's been doing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Do you want public comment?
Oh,
Yeah. You have to open public,
yes.
even though there's no video.
I have to open it with this?
Yes.
Okay. Any public comments?
None?
Hearing none? All right. And with that being said, I appreciate everybody again, and at this time we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.